Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music, and I'm at my piano again because I want to take a look at a Philip Glass piano piece. It's Glass's 85th birthday this week on the 31st. A minimalist composer who's had an enormous impact on just everybody. This piece, Opening, is from Glassworks, the album that kind of brought him to the sort of widest public attention. From 1982, so it goes back quite a ways. It has some clever rhythmic and chord tricks, not much in the way of melody, but I'll tell you what, foundational. We'll take a look at it. I think you should just listen to this and then we'll talk about it. You might have heard that before, and if you haven't heard that, you've heard something that was influenced by it. Well, there's a couple of things going on there that are really worth picking apart. First of all, it relies on a 3/2 polyrhythm. So a polyrhythm is when you take some length of time and you divide it equally into a couple of different bits. For instance, I take like a half note or a quarter note and divide it in 2/8 notes and also a triplet, 3/8 notes. Well, that effect can be really pretty interesting. It's not terribly hard to do. Imagine, we'll just count 3, okay? You go 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The first eighth note is going to be with 1. The second eighth note is going to be in between 2 and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. We hear that rhythm everywhere in modern music. It's not an unusual rhythm at all. Bum, taka-dum, dum, taka-dum, dum, taka-dum, dum. The trick is to give it to different instruments and create something interesting. Now, the beauty of this is what Glass has done is he's given the triplet to just 2 notes. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. The accent alternates between the bottom note and the top note of those 2 notes. And that works against a 2-note phrase in the left hand, which is just 1 and 2 and. The net result is it's hard to tell initially when you hear the piece which is the pulse. You hear essentially 2 pulses in a kind of an interesting mathematical relationship. Cool, right? I mean, it's so simple and so brilliant, and the ear gets fooled. It's like a trompe l'oeil painting where you think you're seeing a car and then you step to the left and you realize it's actually a dumpster that's been kind of carefully painted. I'll tell you what, let's listen to more of it because it kind of just does that again and again, and then we'll kind of break down the chords because on top of great rhythmic devices, the voice leading and the harmonic language in the piece is pure and refined. It really just has a simplicity and directness, which is super powerful. Okay. Now he's given us tons of repeats in this piece. I'm going to play fewer repeats than he wants us to do. Yeah, him and Mozart. He ends on the 5 chord or the 4 chord, depending on how you want to sort of think about this. It's in 3 flats, which would be C minor or E flat major. But the first chord is a beautiful F minor chord, and we really feel like F minor is the center of the piece because it follows a C minor and then this sort of strange E flat 7 sound, which sort of wants us to go back to A flat. So it feels very much like A flat major, F minor is the center of things. The voice leading is very, very clean. A simple triad here, a simple third here, and then it just kind of gets inverted. We put the 5th on the top. A simple triad, an E flat triad, G and C. It feels a little bit like C minor 7 over the 3rd. In the first ending, it's so spicy, right? That sounds like E flat 7, but the A flat is the natural 11th, kind of a forbidden note. But it finally, by the end of the measure, goes to the G and falls down. Glass studied in the 60s with perhaps the greatest music teacher of the 20th century, Nadia Boulanger in Paris. He got a Fulbright and went there. And although I don't think he spent that much time in the studio with her, it's clear that the power of the economy of perfect voice leading and sort of the rule of parsimony, as we've talked about before, plays an enormous role in this music and other pieces of his as well. Well, it goes on, and after we bail out of the first repeated section, we just go to an F minor. This time it's over C, and it falls down to B flat 7. B flat 7, of course, is the 5 of E flat. Those beautiful voice-led chords. And we're really only talking about 4 voices. At any moment, only 3, since we have the oscillation in the 2 parts. E flat gives way to another C minor 7 chord. Gorgeous. After kind of like sinking down through that first page, he does what Bach does in so many of his preludes. Everything pops up and becomes quite bright. Suddenly we're on a B flat major chord, which becomes B flat 7. And B flat 7 doesn't go to E flat, it goes to A flat. It's kind of a retardation of that expectation. And then A flat 9, that's a beautiful sound. I love this. The 9th's in the bass, but it's right there tucked up against the 3rd. That's kind of the brilliant, sort of like scintillating, beating heart of the piece, that section. It feels like the biggest moment. And then he falls out back to G minor. B flat 7. And then it just repeats B flat major for the last chord. We don't ever resolve. In fact, I don't think there's really tension and resolution in the conventional way that we use tension and resolution in functional harmony. No dominant tonic relationships are really the center of this. However, the tonal language of the piece is very much in the sort of set of notes described by the key signature. And as such, I think it sort of feels what we might call modal. It sort of lives within that space, examining it, if you will, kind of different parts of that space, using that one rhythmic trick repeatedly to sort of like say, well, what about that section of it? What about that? What about this? I love this technique. And Glass hasn't pushed us into any other modes. No modal mixture, no secondary key signatures appearing or anything like that. He's living smack dab in the middle of that one set of 7 tones, with the exception of one D flat, which pops up right away just to kind of give us a little flavor of some kind of weird dominant. I don't know. Glass often uses really rich, fast arpeggios to create like sheets of sound. But those sheets of sound really do the same kind of thing that just these simple 3 notes do. They expand and outline and sort of present the sonority of the mode. Minimalism. Minimalism at its best. Enormous impact on game music, film music, music for media. It would be hard to name a contemporary composer who hasn't had to reckon with Glass's influence to some degree. I love his music. Not everyone loves his music, but as Glass has said before, there's other music you can listen to. Hey, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe, ding the bell, you'll be notified when I do my videos. I'll see you next time.